Meeting to order. Thank you, Mary. Mary, would you read the governor's remote participation?
Yes, this December 15th open meeting of the Town Area Plan Work Group, a subcommittee of the Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission, is convening by video conference pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. This meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you and take care not to share your device's screen. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please silence all phones and devices. This meeting will feature public comment if there are any members of the public in attendance who wish to offer some. Henry, for the roll call.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, establishment of a quorum. Mary.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Allison.
Here.
Mary Ann.
Here.
And Reagan.
Here.
And Marcia just joined us.
All right.
She's coming in now. Marcia, are you connected? If you are, say hello.
She's muted. Hello, Marcia. Okay. Agenda. Any discussion other than my obvious errors? Okay, first of all, I'll say it's the draft minutes from December 5th, not October 20th. And we're going to discuss at least January, the dates. Okay, approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Mary?
Aye.
Reagan? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. Okay, approval of the draft minutes from December 5th, 2023. Any discussion? Okay, motion to approve. Mary?
I move approval, Mary Ann.
Okay, Mary Ann. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
So Henry, you could
Aye,
always
Lee.
presume that since the secretary composed the minutes, he made the motion to approve. But I thought it might be more discreet to hold off and see what others said.
Okay. The next time I'm left hanging, I'll just go for it. Marcia, can you hear us? Hi, Marcia.
Hear you. Can you hear me? No.
Yes,
Now I can.
Wow.
excellent. Okay, Mickey is not here. He had cable difficulties. Truck took his cable out. He had sent in the sheet that I emailed everybody, natural and cultural resources, which Marcia pointed out was hers, her area. Did everybody have a chance to read through this?
Not deeply enough, Henry.
I did not.
Okay. Marcia, have you got any comments?
Well, the comments would be, I think related to issues that we have with other components also, which is that there's an overlap with section to section. And I don't, and so I thought that many of these comments were appropriate to the housing section that Mickey and I do work together on. And so I think it's an issue to me of whether we want to reference from section to section where there's an overlap, or whether we're going to be redundant and repeat things.
I would think we could refer, but. Mary, what do you think?
I cannot hear you.
Mary, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Thank you. I was thinking it could go either way. You don't want to repeat the same language verbatim, for many, many paragraphs. But I think there might be a different perspective that's worth offering from the two different areas on the same topic. And of course, you want to make sure that the two different presentations agree with each other, or at least note that there was some discussion of alternatives. So it's really up to you how you want to present it, in my opinion.
Right. When we're going from this component, natural and cultural resources, you could treat some of these aspects that are a broader range than the ones like the driveways, or certain things that really specifically in a detailed fashion belong in the housing section, but it affects the natural and cultural resources. So in a more general way.
Marcia, can you clarify for me, are you the one that wrote this document that's on the screen, or was Mickey the one that wrote the document that's on?
That's what I would like to know. No, I did not. I did not receive it. And then when I did, and it was titled with the unit that that I've been working on, I was confused.
Okay.
And Henry said, well, no, it's true that I did not write this.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Because there's one sentence in there that I don't quite understand what it means, where it says any new driveway should be limited to 1 car width within 30 feet from the street. I don't know what a car width within 30 feet from the street really means.
Right, 30 feet from my street is the neighbor.
I mean,
Even
I think that even though I did not write this, I believe what the writer is intending is that we don't go 2 car widths at the street, and that the cars are parked within 30 feet of the depth of the lot.
Yeah, I think that needs some more clarification. I think I understand what you're describing, that the entrance would be narrow, but it could widen later on to accommodate multiple cars.
This is late. I've got a comment about our earlier discussion, but if you go to the zoning code for the town, driveways are meant to be 9 feet wide. If they're accommodating double driveway, they're twice that. If cars are to be parked in tandem, then they should go back 30 feet. So it really depends upon what the landowner wants to do. And I think this sentence is saying only single driveways and no deeper than 30 feet.
Shouldn't it be on a case-by-case basis?
Henry, there are general rules, and the general rules allow for either side by side or tandem. But your point is for each individual application, it's up to the applicant and whether or not there's sufficient land to do that. So that would be part of the planning board application. The sentence made sense to me, mainly because I'm going through the process now with a small cottage in the back of my property. I would just quickly go back to the earlier discussion, Henry. I think let each of these subcommittee reports move forward until we agree on the content. And then when we assemble, we can bring them together. Oh, there's a word I'm looking for, but we can make them coherent in the editing process. But right now, I don't think we should worry about overlap. Let each of these stand on its own. And once we have an understanding of where we're going, it'll be a lot easier to coalesce.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think what we're not getting here, and I don't have it in front of me, is what does the HDC encourage or approve regarding the width of a driveway and how many cars? And I understand that what, this is what Mickey has written, is that, as he said in the earlier sentence, he wants the driveways to be as inconspicuous as possible. So, because we're changing the nature of the old historic district by making them into parking areas where there never were parking areas, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the current reg is. When we put ours in, there weren't any.
That Marcia may not be as correct as the zoning code allows. I don't think HDC has anything to say if the application conforms to the code. And so I think this recommendation is really to change the code.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Marcia.
Oh, you go ahead first.
Well, I was going to say that's an important distinction as to what we're asking the town to do. You know, are we asking for a zoning change? Are we asking for some other kind of bylaw change? Are we asking for a guideline? Are we just stating a best practice? You know, so it's worth thinking about. You know, you can declare something, but what's the action that you're asking for as a result of that declaration?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, the one thing I know that Mickey and I spoke about with the housing relative to driveways was something that it isn't mentioned in this section, which I believe is a zoning requirement, that you have a 10-foot depth of an apron. And that's hardscape. So that could be brick or it could be Belgian block. And I know that Mickey and I agreed ourselves that in the old historic district, that is not particularly inconspicuous, and it is something that certainly never existed. But I did understand that that was a requirement, like a zoning requirement.
Okay, and how about the last one? Can the prohibition of commercial STRs be included somewhere in the area plan? What do you think, Mary?
Well, not legally prohibited. You can express an opinion, you know, or make a request, but the area plan doesn't have the force of law to create a restriction. I'm not quite sure that's what he's asking for here, but you know, I would also hesitate to take a topic that has such widespread attention and make a declaration on the basis of a very small number of people. I think you would want to talk to the planning director about what would be appropriate on this topic. And you might have to reach out to the public, but I don't see a good connection between all of the work that's been done on that issue and the work that we're trying to do. if there had been no work done on that issue, I think that would be a different circumstance, but plenty of people have been involved in that already.
Well, and it's in the courts now too, so.
So are we making any kind of recommendation or suggestion or evaluation of STR somewhere? And where would that be? In what portion of the area plan?
That's a good question.
It could be in the economic section that Mary and I are working on, because it is a business.
Yeah.
The rental part.
You're already getting in, you're wading straight into the fray.
Oh, no, I know. I am aware, but it is true. I mean, it's taking
So
everything else out of it. It is true that it's a business.
this is Lee. There may be an intermediate comment that for every car, there should be an off-road parking place. And that would include those residences that have been rented in the short term, that we don't want to throw a burden onto the town's roads.
That kind of statement could also get some pushback. I think there are plenty of people who do not want to increase the number of off-street parking spaces because you're sacrificing the yards and the historic character. So again, I'd be very careful about deciding to make a statement in that area without getting more information about what's been done and said in the past on that and what the current regulations and feelings are.
Okay, as far as noise, I think the noise bylaws are still on the books. They're just not enforced.
They are usually dependent on complaints,
Mhm.
neighbor complaints.
Yeah, and I would have difficulty classifying a fire pit as something associated with excessive levels of noise.
I agree.
The fire pit itself does not make noise, and people have the right to enjoy their property. Yeah, I can see a hard surface, with balls being bounced off it, that would be, outside the definition of ordinary activity. And if there's mechanical equipment associated with a pool, spa, or water feature, that potentially, creates noise on its own. But I have difficulty with a fire pit in that.
Right. So he's calling them constructed elements, which is similar to what we all react to with swimming pool. Fire pit, a swimming pool, they become gathering places that have that potential. So, but I understand what you're saying. It's an unusual aspect to say spas, fire pits, hard surfaced game courts. I mean, even in the downtown, if you have a neighbor close by, which most of them are close by, who builds a second floor deck, you've kind of made a party deck. But so I understand that he's distinguishing other kinds of noise, like the blowers and so forth.
Right, but we're not banning social gatherings, right? I mean, or families sitting out in the yard.
Right.
It,
I know.
I would question outdoor speakers. I've got a neighbor, when they redid the house, the outside's wired for sound.
I would add to that, Henry, televisions. I know of at least one person with an outdoor TV who's right next door to somebody who can't stand the sound of it.
Wow.
Yeah, like the Jared Coffin house. I mean,
Like that, but yeah, this is a house with right next to a house.
yep.
Yeah.
So I'm capturing that just on the notes. I mean, my personal feeling is live and let live. You know, somebody is enjoying their home and they're on their property, and the, activity is what somebody would describe as normal, then, if you don't like it, tough, you know?
Isn't there a way to have, I mean, in Dallas, there's a noise level that can't be surpassed. And if the noise level surpasses a certain decibel, you're within your rights to call the police. Could we not?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Reagan, but that's in the Nantucket Code already.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm with Mary, or whoever was just talking. I don't think we can regulate people's behavior. We can regulate the appropriateness of the impact on their neighbors.
Right. I think it would be useful to be more specific about the decibel level of noise and the duration of it. So wherever it comes from, I mean, there's been noise abatement for the airplanes, there's noise abatement for the outdoor condenser units, and I think it might be a better way is to check with other communities and see how they do regulate a noise level by decibel.
Well, the bylaw is on the books. I don't know what it is. The problem is our past chief chose not to enforce it.
Right, so I think that you're right, we should put down enforcement, in however we get to this. I know last summer we had people across the street on a roof walk, doing a happy hour, and it could be 2 a.m, it could be 4 p.m, but it was hugely noisy.
Yeah.
Just unexpected, never happened before.
Yeah, we used to have trouble with a restaurant in town. It was loud enough that our windows rattled, and we're 4 blocks away.
I mean, I think it'd be great to have some kind of statement somewhere or in several places in the area plan about of just how fragile the old historic district is because of its density, because, they're small neighborhoods that it's just sensitive to
aspects
of quality of life that get completely diminished.
So I have to push back on that. It is a defining characteristic of a densely populated area that it will be noisy. And historically, there was a whole lot more activity in the downtown area. There were stable yards, there were candle factories, there were, animals. There was, tremendous amount of activity and I'm sure noise. And, I just really have a problem with people wanting to be in their own little bubble and nothing can pierce it. That's not the way people live in an urban area.
I agree, and I'm not suggesting nothing to pierce it, but I'm suggesting that we define a level when it's really not acceptable.
As Henry said, there is a number. I think I read it into the record once when we were a couple meetings ago. I can't remember what it is now, but I think the point is there is one. We can certainly look to see if that is too high or too low, and it should be higher, or whatever is the right way to make it. So if it's louder, it's a problem. And then the comment about enforcement, I think we can certainly say, some of it is self-enforcement. Your neighbors will complain, but also what is the response from the town when there is a complaint? And I think we can. Mary, would that be appropriate to talk about that? If there was some sort of neighbor dispute, that would be something. Because I agree with you. I don't think social gatherings should be banned. I mean, I use my garden all summer, so I'd rather not have to. And I have lovely neighbors, and they have yet to complain. If they were, I would adjust. But it just seems overreaching to say no fire pits and no social gatherings.
Yeah, I mean, remember the purpose of the area plan is not to regulate people's behavior. As I think you said earlier, we really shouldn't be delving into that level. If there's a bylaw that you want to tweak, then you can make a recommendation to tweak the bylaw. So for instance, let's say that there's a noise level that's island-wide, and you want to have a different noise level in the old historic district. That would be a reasonable recommendation. But trying to address how that noise is created by people is probably way out of line, in my opinion.
The bylaw also gives times, like 10 o'clock at night, everything's supposed to wind down.
So Henry, just a little bit of news from outside. The Civic League is composed of the 25 area associations, of which we're one. Any number of them have said the Civic League needs to investigate quality of life issues. And the number one quality of life issue among these associations is noise. So I'm pretty sure that there's a noise subcommittee or work group in the executive committee of the Civic League. I'm pretty sure because I think I've volunteered to be part of it. And the issues are less the cap, the threshold for what's legal versus what's illegal. The big issue is time of day and days of the week.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Well, I guess my question would be that since this belongs in the section that I've been working on, I should take this and work with Mickey and the discussions that we've had and incorporate that into what I've been writing, correct?
Okay.
So I will send this copy with the additional notes in red back to Lee for the minutes. And Henry, if you want to redistribute it, especially if Mickey wrote it and we're editing it on his.
I know without him here.
Yeah.
So in regard to the last question about the STRs, I just wonder, because we left that open and I still have the question as to if we feel we are going to include some recommendation first, and secondly, does the recommendation belong in economic development section or does it belong in housing? I would think either of those two, but I don't necessarily think about it being in natural and cultural resources.
This is Mary Ann. I would like to recommend that we not wade into this very controversial issue because it really has already been passed way above us to the voters, for one thing, and will again be passed up to the voters, as well as the courts. So I'm not sure that our taking a position will have any meaning.
Well, how about, I mean, I don't know that we need to take a position per se, but I think we'd be remiss if we don't reference this as a current issue. It does exist, and also maybe step back from calling them STRs to talking about neighborhoods and some aspect of the history of what is happening to neighborhoods or
Well,
Yeah.
again, I'll point out there is a history of tremendous rental use, not just to vacationers, but rooming houses, to workers, to itinerants, to people that were going to hop on a ship. I mean, rental use or let's say non-owner occupancy is something that is very much a part of our historic character. So just, food for thought on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the non-owner occupancy. I mean, I absolutely agree that it's part of the history, but I think when we talk about a short-term rental, there were rooms that were rented and not short-term. And so you have more continuity, more sense of a consistent level of neighborhood. So I know it affects you know, it's a larger scale. It's very different when all the houses surrounding you in the neighborhood, the family composition changes every week. I think it's just a different intensity and a different scale of neighborhood.
So I would say that the intensity of the use hasn't really changed. What's changed is the expectation. You know, that when, you know, if we go back 100 years, you know, there was tremendous activity. This was a bustling port town. There were people coming and going. There was noise. There were, you know, all kinds of things happening. And, you know, and Nantucket suffered a decline, and there were fewer people. There were only a couple thousand people here in 1970. And so, you know, a culture of not a lot of activity became established, but it was historically an aberration, not the norm. You know, and so we're, you know, we're back now to being a bustling community, which is how this community was built. And but what's changed is the expectation that people have that they want to come here and have a quiet, peaceful experience. And I'm sorry, this is not the place for that.
Yeah, I mean, I know we could go on and on because I definitely don't agree in my own personal experience. And I don't know that, and I think one of the most difficult things all around in working on the area plan is that we don't have data. We can make big generalizations about the way it was and the way it is now. And there's definitely going to be an evolution of change there, but we don't know. I mean, I know 50 years ago, all the houses around me were occupied year-round by a year-round residence. And I know there's change. And it's not just my expectation, because I have lived here since the 70s, but it's just that we can't really quantify. We don't have statistics about how many people live here year-round now or not.
I mean,
Any more discussion?
Yeah, just to note, you know, Marcia, I think it's a really interesting point that it would be really nice to have data, you know, on a decade by decade basis. But I personally have to wonder if really what's changed is not the seasonal activity, but the year-round activity, where there's so many more people here year-round, not in the old historic district, as we know, but on the island. Because I don't think that we've created a ton. It's really hard. We don't have data. It's really hard to know. But you know, in the 70s, we were saying that there were 50,000 people here in the summer, you know, and we're still saying the same thing. We really don't know if it was only 20,000 in the 70s and it just felt like 50, or if it's really 75,000 now and nobody can imagine a bigger number than 50. We have no idea. And it's really hard, you're right, to draw conclusions when we don't know what the data is.
I just know that there's a lot more cars now than there was back in 70. A lot more. Okay. Let's move on to January. Our next meeting would be January 2nd, I believe.
Right, first Tuesday of the month.
Yep. So I'll step out on a limb and say we should just cancel it. How's that? Any discussion on it?
I'm on board.
Okay. Anybody against it? That's a good thing. Okay.
Should have been a lot easier for me, Henry.
I think a lot easier for all of us, but yes. Okay, January 2nd is out.
So then our next regularly scheduled meeting would be Friday the 19th.
Correct.
Friday, okay.
How much time have we got? We can talk. February, do you see any conflicts? Be the 2nd and the 16th?
So that avoids the school vacation? Um,
I don't know what it is.
the
I
school
don't know what school
vacation
vacation.
is the last week of February. And the President's Day holiday, I believe, is the 19th, so it would be the Friday before that holiday weekend.
So the
That Friday-
16th,
That 16th would be a bit difficult for me. I might be traveling up to Nantucket.
Do you want to make it the 6th and the 23rd, Henry? It'll be the Friday before school vacation, if that matters to anybody. But the 6th and the 16th is just 10 days apart. Sometimes our meetings get really close.
yeah.
because of the way we've scheduled them.
Lee, have you got any conflicts?
Yeah, I'll be traveling off island on Saturday. I think it's the 24th.
Yeah, so I think the 16th works fine for me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
leave
but-
it 6.
My
If most
inclination
people can make it,
is,
but if most people can make it, then you should do it. I most probably can make it by phone because I'm, good driving. So
Okay. All right, we'll leave that
I
there.
suggest, Henry, we stay with the February schedule because we can always amend it in January if a bunch of us are unable.
Okay. March,
So now,
we have March 5th and the 15th. Any conflicts?
no,
Mary?
Nope.
Okay. Allison?
nope.
Marcia?
No,
Okay. Mary Ann?
No,
All right. Reagan?
Not that I know of at the moment.
Okay. Well, it's a ways away.
Yeah, my schedule is very fluid.
Are we gonna look at May, Henry? Because that was the other potential.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping that we're pretty much done by May.
So just for
Actually,
everybody,
I'd be happy if it was February, but whatever.
Tuesday, May
Okay.
7th, it would be a normal meeting date for us. It's also town meeting start.
Yeah.
So it's
I think we
unlikely.
can.
Yeah.
All right, April 2nd and 19th.
Yep.
Everybody's all right with that?
yeah,
yeah,
In May, if I'm still alive,
May
is.
7th does not work for me, but it sounds like it also doesn't work for Mary. I'll be in Detroit.
Told
May
Detroit I
7th
said
doesn't work
hi.
for me either.
it's 2 weeks.
Okay, May 7th is out. And 17th,
Fine.
okay. And let's just leave it at that for now, because that's way too far ahead. All right, anything else anybody wants to discuss?
yes, I mean, this is Mary Ann. I don't know if you want to mention that we got a lot of data from, I can't remember his name.
Nathan,
Yeah, and I just looked through it and saw that there's a ton and tons of data up that goes property by property within our area. So we're gonna have to take a look at that and wade through it all, but we have gotten that worth mentioning.
okay,
I'm going to share that data. Is that
I can do
something-
that if you want.
Yes, I expect, well, I haven't looked at it, whether we each kind of extract what's appropriate, what's relevant to our area.
Okay. I will get that out tonight.
I guess, and one of my questions was, at what point do we dare to put all 9 components into one PDF and take a peek at it?
It's a scary thought.
It
And
is
hopefully it's coming soon.
coming soon, right?
Yes. Yeah, we still need to hear from Mary and Lee. And who else?
What areas are they?
Circulation,
Yeah,
ba-
that's the
basic
biggie.
parking.
Oh,
It's a big one for us.
Yeah, it is. What else? Services and facilities. Reagan, did you and Mickey give anything on that?
Sorry, I was on mute. I thought we'd already turned our document in.
You probably did. It looks like a big pile of paper here,
Okay,
but I'll go
I mean-
through it.
let me know if there's something I need to do, but I've sort of checked it off my mental list, so.
Okay, yeah, circulation, definitely though.
okay, so are we on for circulation in January?
Mary? You're muted.
Any promises right now? All of my time that's available is being taken up by NPNEDC items.
Yeah.
Do you have a partner on
Well, yeah, Lee has already
Lee.
done the groundwork and lobbed it over to me, so it's balls in my court.
Oh.
Maybe by the 19th.
We'll see, yeah. I can't make any promises. I'm also at work. Year end is huge for us, so.
Yep. I know you're spread pretty thin.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can talk before the 19th. All right, anything else?
Just, I want to
Right.
wish everybody a happy holidays. And
Yeah. Yes.
And from the other side of the Atlantic, to you all as well.
Thank you.
See
And
you all
hopefully
in the
we'll
new
see
year.
you in January. I have 4:43. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mary.
Second,
Second.
Allison, second.
Allison, second. All in favor, aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, and happy holidays.
Bye.
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.